few weeks ago on a client shoot, I lost my multi-tool, and since it's been a part of my everyday carry for years, I had to replace it. Today, I'm going to unbox and take a look at the Leatherman Charge TTI. Welcome to Get It Together, and if you're new here, this channel is just me trying to figure out how to get my life together and sharing the tips and lessons I learned along the way. At the beginning of this year, in my 2020 goals video, which I'm going to link right over here, one of my goals was to buy literally 0 things other than food and personal hygiene products. You know, the necessities. This goal is a tough one, not just because of bad shopping habits like clothes, Amazon Prime, for any random thought that comes into my head, but most of all for the one category of product I've gotten more and more obsessed with over the past decade or so. And that's the everyday carry category. Wallets, pocket knives, watches, notebooks, pens, all that good stuff. But one thing I've almost never left home with for over a decade was my Leatherman Surge multi-tool. I'm definitely biased as an EDC head, but I think everyone, regardless of occupation, gender, or any other potential identifier, can benefit from having a reliable, high-quality multi-tool. If not as part of their EDC, then at least to leave in the car or just have handy around the house. But for me, that Leatherman Surge went with me everywhere, not the least of which with me as I go from video shoot to video shoot at various client locations. So it was a sad day when I got home from a shoot a few weeks ago, did my pocket dump, and realized that I'd lost the trusty Surge I'd had for a decade. It's weird that an inanimate object could feel like such a tragic loss, and although I made the commitment to buy 0 things, a reliable multi-tool is something I use regularly, and I just had to replace my Surge. I decided to replace my Surge with this Charge TTI for a few reasons. As a budding minimalist, I'm trying to simplify as much of my life as possible, and for the Charge TTI, for one, it has a smaller footprint than the Surge I've been used to. Second, after some research in its tool set, is slightly different from the Surge that I own and is even more functional for my personal use cases. But regardless, let's get to unboxing. Popping off the box, we have the tool itself, a case, interchangeable bits, and it comes with 2 other carry options, the ring for keychain and the clip. Me personally, I don't use either. I prefer to always have it securely deep inside of my pocket. But from a quality and manufacturing standpoint, if you were to use either, the materials for mounting and tension all inspire confidence. The finish itself is awesome in this titanium. It both increases strength while simultaneously saves on weight. And like I mentioned before, folded up, it's about ½ an inch smaller than the Leatherman Surge, and it just helps with minimizing pocket weight and size. The tools in the Charge TTI come in 2 kind of factors. Full-length tools, which exist on the external side, such as both of the knives, as well as the file, and then compact tools, which are inside of the handles. These, like the full-length tools, are folded out and they snap into place. These 2 release buttons allow you to fold back the tools when you're done using them. On the hinge for the file, this is where you would mount the mounting options, if you want to use the ring or the clip. And both are installed and removed with that same release button. When selecting a multi-tool, it's important to assess the tool set, since there are differences between all the different types of multi-tools out there. So I can really only speak to my own use cases. Since I use my Leatherman Surge and intend on using this Charge TTI every single day, I'm going to share with you the tools that I use in 3 categories: work-related, life-related, and rarely used. So let's get into it. When it comes to work, one of the most frequently used things that I use is this large flat driver, and I use it for swapping out tripod quick release plates and stuff like that for my cameras. I also use the knife very frequently, especially for cutting up gaffer's tape, for rigging things up, really temporary sticking solutions, such as taping down power cords to the floor so people don't trip on them. And when it comes to interchangeable bits, I think that for most people, they'll leave the one that comes with it inside, which on one side is a Phillips, a cross, and the other side, which is a slot, just a flathead. But me personally, I swap it out immediately for this Torx. This is a 6-star shaped Torx bit. And the reason I do that is because the tripod, monopod, all of the stability tools that I use, they all use a Torx bit. And so whether I need to tighten down the tripod legs or do last second repairs for any kind of stability gear, this Torx bit works for every single one of them. I also use scissors for impromptu stuff like cutting lighting gels, or even sometimes just cutting up random set decorations. And finally, pliers. Whether it's the needle nose at the tip or the regular ones a little bit lower down, I use for holding down a bolt so that I can tighten the nut, or grabbing onto something really small like little cables and wires that I have to fish through. And it's just all around something that I use quite frequently. Now let's move on to the second category, which is life-related, stuff that I use every single day, but just for regular life that has nothing to do with work. And the most common one I use is the knife itself, and I use this for opening envelopes, opening up packages, and just general non-food related cutting that I have to do. Next is the mini bits. I use the mini bits for work-related stuff mostly, but never when I'm actually at work. Let me explain. Sometimes I have to make small repairs, and more often than not, especially on camera bodies and drones and stuff like that, it's the tiniest, smallest little bit. And so even though it's for work, I never actually use it on set, and it's usually when I come back home and just gotta do some touch-ups, some maintenance on some gear. Beyond that, as you can see, I wear glasses, and so on the rare occasion when the little screws get loose, I can use the mini bits to tighten those up as well. And now for the tools that I really rarely use, but they still do and have come in handy. Ever since I started doing the ketogenic diet, I've all but stopped drinking beers. But when there's a family get together and someone needs a bottle opener, this thing comes in really handy. This file I'll sometimes use for work, sometimes if I'm trying to do like a quick rig against a wall or against a piece of wood and I just need to file it down. I'll use the file very rarely as well. There's a serrated knife with a hook blade on there, and I rarely have a use for a serrated knife. But just knowing that I have it on me all the time, even for a rare emergency which has never happened and hopefully never will, this hook knife and serrated blade would be really handy to cut through a seatbelt in the event that that's necessary. Regardless, we've gone through pretty much everything. And the main thing I can really say is that I already know this is something that I'm just not gonna regret. It's even a bit more functional for my personal use cases than the Leatherman Surge that I used for so long. The Leatherman Charge TTI is definitely on the expensive end because of its use of titanium. I think for most, the Leatherman Wave, which comes in at the same compact size of 4 inches closed, is probably the most attractive option for most people. I've linked the Charge TTI and the Wave, as well as the Surge in the description below if you'd like to research them for yourselves. I will say this, I'm someone who has consistently had the Multitool with them for years and use it quite literally daily. As someone who's, learning minimalism, I just want to remind everyone that if there's no justifiable use case for you, you shouldn't buy one. There are much, much cheaper paperweights out there. A tool is only as good as its usability for you in your life. I just happen to believe that everyone could benefit from one, but self-awareness will drive you to know whether or not you'll actually use it. That said, if you are in the market for a multi-tool, from what I can see, this Charge TTI, like my lost Surge, is something I'm going to treasure and use every day. This time, hopefully, for longer than 10 years. If you enjoyed this video, I think you'll like this video right up here about something I've decided to keep in my journey of learning minimalism, despite it not serving a functional purpose in my life. You can catch the entire Learning Minimalism series right over here. And of course, if this video is up your alley, do consider subscribing right over here. If you have any questions about the Leatherman Charge TTI, hit up the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.